we're back. Hello. Welcome back to Actual Play and to Autumn of the Ancients. However, when we made it through the jump gate, not all were able to make it through with us.
Smooth, Sean.
Due,
Like it.
due to their the trials of traveling. Only the Ori, Callisto, and Kamala, and the Liminal will be making it to the Federation. But I'm sure that Nebo will join us next time. Banana Banana's been traveling a bunch and she needed a little break, so we're coming back with the three of us. So welcome back all. And I think we're ready to jump through that jump gate, do that thing. I want to make sure I have everything pulled up correctly. Oh, I got to adjust the map somewhat so everybody can see it. How's that look? That looks like it didn't change. What am I doing? How's that look? Still looks like it didn't change. Not sure why we're not seeing that. Thank you, OBS, for being super smooth and never having any trouble whatsoever. No, that worked. I'm just not. I'll just zoom in more. How's that? That is. There we go. Okay, cool. Well, I had to zoom in so that we couldn't see the flotilla anymore, but that's fine because we've left that place.
We're leaving that place behind.
We're done with that place, and the ship that we've pulled out. I'm sure they were just like smuggling space pot and
Yep.
Everything's
What
gonna be fine.
what was the name you gave them? Z something?
Zevi?
Zevi. Okay.
No, I because I like to make my life complicated. I said, "Oh, that can't be the Zevi."
Right.
The Yarati.
Right.
Because why just like name a thing?
Why need to remember one thing when you can need to remember two things?
Exactly.
And one of which is not even applicable.
Right. Exactly. One is just wrong. Well, I didn't think Kamala should be like the knowledgeable one in this regard. So
fair enough. Yeah.
I feel like in my headcanon, Callisto like totally like at least had an idea of who it was, but she was so amused by the Ori not knowing that she was just like, no, I'm just gonna keep this secret. It's too good.
Yeah.
If it's okay with you guys, I'm gonna narrate us moving to the Aurea Federation, seeing as how it is my homeland, and also it's probably my turn to narrate anyway, so that works.
Nice.
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, so we go through the jump gate, and I can't decide if. Actually, no, I know exactly what I want to do because I just saw Star Wars. So we like roll up. Coming out of like warp drive or faster than light travel or whatever, and it's just like you just show up, but it looks like you just stopped super abruptly. Yes, just like that, with that specific sound effect. And the Aurea Federation is one sort of Earth-like planet. Not particularly huge. It has, I'll say, 2 moons. And it's fairly well known that the 2 moons are where they have like 2 different sort of academies, and one of them is like arts and culture and dance and like creativity. It's basically like left brain, right brain moons, right? The other one is all sciencey, math, physics, blah blah blah, whatever. And the actual planet itself, you see the lights like you would, looking down on Earth or whatever, but rather than being sort of haphazardly spaced, the whole planet is like a grid. So it's like flying into Chicago, where like everything burned down and we had a chance to line it up all right. And so it's the actual planet is all a grid. And so we the liminal sort of lands kind of in between the three of them. There is a sort of like a small space station, not like a port or anything. Like it has enough room to dock like maybe one or two small ships. And yeah, so now we're home. For me anyway.
For a version of home. So you are aquatic by nature. Is the planet that the Federation is on primarily underwater?
I think that it is like fairly almost like 50-50. And in fact, I don't know that you can tell that very well from out in space. I think that like large swaths of the planet have structures on them, and so there could be water underneath. You just don't know.
Nice, that makes sense. So like there's not necessarily a distinction between the land and water parts of because they're still both built on. And
yep.
Yeah, cool.
Nice.
For reference, on that very first prompt, there's like a weird symbol next to a strange price.
Yeah, what does that mean?
What that means is if you do that prompt, you have the opportunity to change a thing about your character. So the thing says you can add, erase, or change one thing on your character sheet. It could be your name, role, or any one of your traits. Describe why your character thinks that is true. So,
cool.
Like, I could stop being from the Orient Federation if I wanted to do that.
Right. I could stop being a specimen. Yeah. Neat. You look at all these cool prompts. I'm going to read them. I'm going to read them for two reasons. One, so that I read them. The other one is that I don't know how. I've been playing around with zooming in and zooming out. I just don't know how visible they are. So if you'll indulge me, the locations that are at the Orient Federation. Oh, and the Orient Federation, one of the prompts it has is the hospitality of the Orient. So locations are the Old Market, which has a strange price. The Golden District, which we ask, what is out of reach? The Spacefarers Academy, you say, how do you fix what is broken? The Guts of the Derelict, they say, why they think of the ancients. The Great Gate, first time you saw an ancient vessel. And the First Contact Monument, an unexpected reunion. So like the feeling I get of the Orient is like for them, faster than light travel was a big old deal, and they're still very like they may have been the first to do it, and this is like a major cultural something of major cultural significance. Right. Nice. Well, I am going to have, I would like a scene that actually isn't with, oh, well, no, I think Ori should be there. And Jen, I'm going to ask you to play a academic. I'm going to ask you to play a professor.
Okay.
And I think it would make sense if Kamala took Ori with her, took the Ori with her. Let me move my little piece. Roll20 is being super butt for me right now, and then I can't remove the. Oh, there we go. I couldn't close the character sheet, and so I was like trying to zoom on at the left or the right of it. It's like,
Gotcha. Yeah.
it's like, why won't you go away? But it finally let me close it. All right, move Kamala over to the Spacefarers Academy, and the Spacefarers Academy is on the right brain moon. Everything there is engineers and doctors and scientific development, and there's this huge like medical facilities, and they're like renowned for being one of the most prestigious medical facilities in the area. And in fact, it was Kamala is like not tugging on the Ori, because I don't think she could, like, but she's like trying to rush the Ori. She's like, some of the best scientists at Echo Station came from this academy. That they're the best. Because Echo Station is like, it's just like a little remote place where people do research. It's not its own real cluster, and this is where a lot of the talent came from. Maybe they'll know how to fix. Maybe they'll know how to fix Callisto. And we like cut to a big stuffy lecture hall where the students have all left, and there's still like a professor of medical science there, you know, a doctor in both regards, and they have up like all these like holographic images showing like the equivalent of the chalkboard, and like, you know, they're like laser writing on these,
the
like
future equivalent of a chalkboard.
Exactly.
Nice.
And let's see, Jen, do you have a name in mind that you would like this doctor that you're playing to be?
That's a great question. I don't have the file up, helpfully, that has all of the cool things in it.
You can pull it up in Roll20, and it might taunt you and never go away like it did for me.
I feel like I looked at it in Roll20 and I couldn't like zoom in well enough.
Yeah, it's just
actually,
sort of
like
barely zoomable. I found.
So this is. Yeah, I can barely see those. Hang on.
How about Dr. Pym?
I like it.
All right. So Kamala like clatters down the steps, and we hear her hooves clattering on these on the stone steps. Down, probably not stone, probably on the metal plates. And she calls out, Dr. Pym, do you have a moment?
What sort of professor are you interested in seeing happen here, or do you not care?
I would like a person who is like skilled in medical sciences.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you don't have any particular thoughts about how helpful they are, or their?
Oh no, they should be totally unhelpful. They should be sweet and awful, and I mean, yeah. I'm sorry. I pretty much let me like reveal my intentions as a player. Like, I'd like to see Kamala attempting to help Callisto and like through conventional methods and finding and failing.
Okay.
That's.
I assumed, yeah, she's going to try and help Callisto. I just wasn't sure specifically if you knew a direction you wanted to go in. So.
No, I assume that like, hey, doctor, can you help me solve this impossible plague that no one's figured out how to solve? Is like not a question that a doctor's gonna be like, sure.
Cool. Call me during office hours.
Yeah. I think our stream may not be working. Hello, folks.
All right.
Is our stream going? It doesn't look like it's working to me.
Adam sent me the link for the character sheet, so he saw that part where I was fumbling for it.
You are stuck. All right, are we unstuck now? I think I minimized Zoom on accident, and when you minimize Zoom, it's like freezes the image.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So luckily the Roll20 was still up, and I think people could still hear us. Cool. Thank you, Bubba. We are unstuck. All right. I looked away for 1 second. Things broke. No, Banana Chan. Banana was just traveling and not feeling too great. So she is taking the rest of the night off from this spacefaring. It's all that hyperspeed travel takes it out of you, man.
Well, I mean, to be fair, like being stuck in that giant traffic jam for most of the day, right?
Yeah. Makes you just want to go home and cry. Yeah. So I think she sort of blunders in, is just like, I have a friend, she has the Galactic Plague, she's sick, you must know a cure.
And I think up until that point, Dr. Pym was sort of like, oh, maybe you're like a prospective student, or whatever, like, oh, let me share this this particular interest of, and the moment you say Galactic Plague, it's just like you know someone who has the Galactic Plague, and you are speaking to me within contagion distance. Please step several feet away.
Oh no, I can't receive it. I'm the specimen of Echo Station. I thought you would know. Some of the scientists from the R8 Federation are the ones that. And she stops for a second. She's like, made me disappointed.
Oh. and Dr. Pym kind of like does the librarian glasses over the nose thing, and says, well, the medical research that we do here encompasses lots of different ailments and medical science. While I'm aware of the Galactic Plague, that is not my specialty.
Oh, who's this?
This is her very fancy doctor way of being like, GTFO.
Yeah.
Well, you could speak to the concierge, who I really don't think that you should just.
I mean, I was told that you were the best, you were the smartest. She's trying to do flattery.
Well, I don't know who would have told you that, because I don't research the Galactic Plague.
Is this a thing being researched? The Galactic
Oh,
Plague?
absolutely. Of course it is. It's arguably, one of the more difficult medical problems of our time. But it's like Dr. Pym is just weirded out that you guys just showed up and started asking about this. It's not like somebody asked for a paper or citation or an appointment or a phone call.
Yeah.
You just showed up in person.
I feel like this is a little bit like just dropping it on a doctor and be like, so I have a cancer. Can you just fix that for me, please?
Right. Yes, that is what is happening. And the doctor is just like, cool. You really should probably do not have any contacts here. You said you were made by who? And they're super like judgy looking about it.
Yeah. She's like, I was specimen 486 of Echo Station 1. They mixed the genetic code of the Minsk and the Rusk
I feel like Kamala has said this one too many times.
She hates saying it, and she has to keep on saying it.
Yep. I think partway through that speech, you see like the camera pans up on Dr. Pym's face, and the eyes kind of slide over to a telephone like, or cell phone like device, and they realize, cool, like this is, you're an actual like specimen, like the people doing the research on the galactic plague would love to get you in that lab.
Yeah, she is a literal lab rat. Like,
Yes,
like
exactly.
exactly.
The Ori introduces itself to Dr. Pym, noticing Kamala's frustration, knowing she's given this speech.
Yeah.
The Ori says, "I too was created," but he kind of owns it, or is trying to play it up for Kamala. I was created. I am some astronomically big number of batch and some other serial model number. I was created to perform logistical functions for Alpha Station, and now have been assigned to the Liminal. One of our crew members, Kamala, is a crew member, may have come into contact with the galactic plague, and so we're.
Kamala kind of like brightens a little bit when you say like Kamala as a crew member, because it's just like any identity besides lab rat, right? Like anything besides just like, yes, I am the creature from the Black Lagoon, right?
Right.
Like, so.
I think at one point, actually, I think during Ori, saying this little speech, some sort of lab assistants come in and make like they really want to talk to you about the galactic plague, and like they're not going to like take you to the lab or whatever, but all of a sudden some people who maybe aren't as senior as Dr. Pym show up and are super excited to see you, Kamala.
I think because they're eager to help, or they appear eager to help. Kamala, who is, as we've described, very naive, goes with them. And I think when the Ori like kind of realizes what's happened, like, and seeing Kamala's been abducted, right? Like I just played my scene. Now you guys go through your scenes. And Kamala has been taken by these people who I think seem really, really friendly. And then until Kamala realizes, well, I think we see like the door shut and that like that closes it. Unless Jay, unless you wanted like to have more discussion with Pym, but.
Right. No, I think if Kamala goes willingly from the scene, then I accept that she's going to have that discussion. That's the context. It wasn't like they came in and they grabbed her, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm good with that, and I have nothing further for him.
Cool. I mean, I think the grabbing happens later, like once the door's closed.
Right. Dismissive of Ori, because Ori is like not a squishy organic body, right? So we have engineers to fix you.
Right. And I'm not going to contract I'm assuming it's a biological thing, so
yeah.
It's not a priority for me.
For sure.
Yeah, that's why I figured like the two of us would be the two that could like walk around and be like, no, don't worry, we don't have it.
Right.
No,
that's nice. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And seeing Kamala is stuck in the Spacefarers Academy.
She's as stuck as you want her to be.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, yeah.
But I think that's adds some fun. When we later realized that she didn't return. All right, one of you two gets a scene.
I don't know what scene I want to do. Excuse me.
No problem.
I think I have one.
Cool.
I think I have one. I'm thinking the First Contact Monument.
Nice.
My thought, and you tell me if I'm asking for too much. Unfortunately, Ori will be in the scene. I think it's Ori Callisto. Callisto?
Callisto?
Callista. And I'd like someone from Callista, because Callista's from here, right?
Yes.
So someone you're having a reunion with that is from here.
Okay.
And then maybe Sean, you'll play that NPC?
Yeah, happily.
I was literally thinking about the exact same scene. So I think that the person I'm having a reunion with is somebody, like effectively a sibling of mine. But I think our species is sort of like, you know, a bunch of eggs that all hatch at the same time. And so it's sibling, but it's not exactly the same meaning of sibling.
Okay. All right.
I think it's amazing. I think it's awesome that it's totally unintentionally, but none of us were birthed in like what we'd consider like a human conventional means.
Right.
Like Ori's part of a batch. You were a bunch of eggs. Nevo, I think, said he had like 27 siblings.
Yeah.
They're like frogs. I like to like none of us have this notion of like we either have like oodles of siblings or none.
Or none.
Right.
We're created. Like there's none of us have like my two
my two siblings. Yeah, no.
That's
Nice.
super cool. So I'm gonna ask you for the thing that I should have provided you. The last one was like, give me like a trait or two or three about your fellow.
So I think that I don't have strong feelings about like gender here. I think it is a sibling who is the same age as Callisto. I think that they are really happy to see her and concerned because they didn't want her to go in the first place. But she sort of accepted this gatekeeper role. And I think that they are I think that they are somebody who went to this sort of left brain planet. Is it left brain planet the arty one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let me know if you need more.
I like it. I'd like to assert a thing. I was just thinking, and you tell me if this is cool with you. If I can assert this about your species, which is that gender is not something that they typically take, and that choosing a gender is a active choice that you make as an active choice that you make as not necessarily as an adult, but as like something that you decide for yourself. And so Vanja uses they, and Vanja hasn't elected to choose it. Vanja's difference is differentiated from Callisto, and that they haven't decided to choose a gender, and that's sort of a it's not quite a rite of passage. Like you don't have to do it, but it definitely says something about like where they've gone with their life.
Yeah.
And part of that is like also like whether you want to leave or not, because here it's like totally fine not to have chosen a gender, but other parts of the universe, it's a lot. It's easier if you have. And so that doesn't really make a distinction between Vanja and Callisto, but it would between Vanja and other people from outside of the Federation.
Right.
So yeah. So they're happy to see you, and they are studying. They're doing their graduate study work on trying to think of your biology and whether there would be they're doing their graduate study work in dance, and the and I have ideas about that, but I'll play those out and see. So Why do I keep clicking the wrong thing?
I feel like I want to sort of establish a thing that like we've found some way to make Callisto not contagious, because like she totally wouldn't be walking around a planet if she's potentially, you know, giving out the galactic plague.
Yeah. Is she like walking around like in a bunny suit? Like in a totally
Right.
like,
I don't think so. Yeah.
because I
Right.
think that would be really interesting for a race that is used to communicating through touch,
Mhm.
Right.
right? Like that's a real major bummer
Yeah.
for Callisto talking to anyone that
She's got to
isn't us.
talk.
Right, just talk with words.
Nice.
How do you talk with feelings?
Uh,
How do you talk with
how do you-
pictures?
How do you say picture word feels? Yeah. So I think you catch Vanja in the at the end of a dance rehearsal, and notably Vanja has like 80s style leg warmers, and like other
Sweatbands.
yeah, and like sweatbands, yes, absolutely, but it's barefoot and has nothing on their hands either, because what you catch at the very end of the dance, of course, is that there's a lot of touching in this dance, and it like and one person will touch the other, and through some sort of artificial means, but by using their own biology, there's like this spray of color that like washes through one and it like passes on to the other, and it's like sort of breakdance style. They like touch the other one and it like pulses through, right?
Pop and lock chameleon.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like some chemical that like one of them takes and they like pass it through.
Nice.
And of course, there's all this like excitement and energy that also gets passed through by virtue of their sort of telepathic communication. And so there's like this very high, like jittery buzz of them all like rocking off each other, and you know, and then like the music stops, and Vanja sees you, or unless you want to. I think that's what you enter into. I think you.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's perfect.
So yeah, Vanja joins you, and they're sweating, and their sweat like has a lot like weird iridescent color in it, because it's like the after effect of this chemical.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like wiping themselves off, and they recognize you immediately in the suit?
I think they do recognize, and I think actually what we see is that Callisto and Vanja go to do the normal greeting, which is like touching hands.
Right. Yeah.
And they do it, of course, and they can't, obviously.
Right.
And and Callisto is like upset by this.
Yeah. Vanja's like, what's going on? They're like, Callisto, and like they go and they, you know, when you put hands, they just look at you like, what's wrong? And I mean, I think Vanja's like a very physical person, and so they just like start to remove your glove, like.
And I like take a step back, and I'm like, no. I am sick. I need to keep this on so that I don't get you sick.
And they're like, all this like excited energy just kind of like collapses, like they're like crestfallen. They're like, but
I just broke up with my sibling.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. It's not you, it's me. It's sort of the line you're just giving them.
Exactly.
Nice.
Oh my god. I'm sorry.
Is it bad? I mean, I don't mind having a cold. It's fine.
It's pretty bad. And I kind of turn so that she can see some of the patterning like inside my skin, because I see the suit as being like basically see-through.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Maybe they didn't realize that you were wearing the suit until you like touched them.
It's not like a big bubble. Like this is the future, right? So it's just like probably like a clear film layer all over.
Right. It's like you got in a Ziploc bag and someone sucked all the air out and just.
Nice.
Yeah.
I think the Ori gives a very clinical explanation, even naming the galactic plague.
Awesome. Thank you.
Citing off some.
So helpful.
it throws in some statistics about the lethality and the spread and possible vectors and the origin and that kind of thing.
I think like to our audience, this is all like very clear, but to Vanja, this is really it's almost like you're speaking in another language to them, and because like there's no feeling associated with it, like it's really hard to contextualize this.
Well, they can't hear Ori's thoughts at all.
Exactly. And so they do the same thing that Callisto did, which is like they touch you and then and tell me if this is like going outside of the bounds, because I don't want to normalize violence, but like I think there's a part of Vanja that sort of sees Ori as a machine rather than a person. Right. It's like very disappointed and like does that kind of like smack Ori like hit the television to make it work kind of thing, right? Like fix your thoughts, right? Like, exactly, right? It's not like to hurt Ori, but it's like get it right.
The signal's not on.
Exactly. Like how do I get this to work? Callisto, this machine is just babbling.
I have dealt with that for a while.
Yeah, makes sense. Papa says
he doesn't. The Ori doesn't work like that.
So you're with a machine that doesn't feel. Is that right? Is that like reasonable to say that?
Yeah, no, I think that's reasonable. Yeah,
for our purposes, yeah.
Yeah, right. Again, I'm not. Vanja is not as educated in this thing as Callisto is at this point. Right. You're with a machine that doesn't feel, and you can't, and you can't be touched. Vanja, like turns like a color, like. Like their organs, you see them pulsing inside, like
I can angrily. See the stress chemicals building up.
Yeah.
I have a friend who I can touch, who can't get sick, and that's helpful. I haven't been sick for that long, so it's been a recent development.
I want to take you home to the family and see everybody. I know they'd be excited to see you, but
probably not like this.
Yeah, not like this, right? And this is like the like oh, what would your mother say? Sort of like
yeah,
like bit of like I don't like I'll keep your secret, but I couldn't let anyone else see you.
I have the deadly galactic plague.
Yeah,
you have to keep me a secret from Mom.
Exactly. I think, right? Is that?
Yeah.
So have you seen it? And I think that Vanja really, they really struggle with articulating what they're trying to say, because they're just used to, they like grab you again thinking it's going to work this time. And of course it doesn't. And, they show concern on their face, but it's like more anger than concern, because they're just so frustrated that they can't like touch you and they can't like figure out what's going on. And like what was really, really sweet turns bitter. And they're like, so why did you come here? What are you doing?
And I'm kind of like taken aback at that. I wanted to see you. I am sorry. I will go. And like she's like Callisto is hurt. Like she gets the frustration, but she feels like if she's just gonna make it worse, then she should just go, because she doesn't want to sit here and like, turn the knife in the wound.
Yeah. Yeah, Vanja is like, come back when you feel again. And okay. I think that like is not translated right. I think that means like perfect, come back when we can share feelings again, but the words aren't really right. Yeah. Was that okay? The bunch just sort of.
Oh, it's perfect. I love
I didn't know
it.
if you wanted like the love,
No.
like the super lovey reunion, but I
Nope.
just
Nope,
Yeah,
this is
no, that's
perfect.
awesome. No, that is
I
perfect.
saw unexpected, so I was like, cool. I think things are gonna nice.
No, I think that's perfect. I like it.
Ori, that was technically your scene. Did you want more in there?
So maybe if as Callisto
Sorry.
walks off, Ori sticks around just a little bit longer. He's watching this whole thing unfold. To at least say to the siblings and Vanja
Mhm.
that for classes of beings that feel, you are all very careless with how sensitive your feelings are. You use them like weapons.
They there's another yeah, I was gonna like have somebody translate like another species that they could touch and they could translate, but it's like you just don't understand. This is just how we are. This is who we are.
You don't feel, you don't know.
You don't know,
Right, like yeah, exactly. Because I think all of this would be like way more elegant and smooth and equiminious if they could have touched.
Right. And that's the thing the Ori can't ever know. So
Right, exactly.
all he saw was this exchange.
Right. So I love that there's like this three-way like awkwardness. Like
Right.
nobody can really relate to anyone else in this
Right.
in this conversation. Yeah.
And then he'll walk after Callisto,
Nice.
and that can be seen.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so I think it's your scene.
Yeah, so now she's all fired up and frustrated and rejected by her sibling. What do I want to do? I don't think that I have any traits. No, I don't have any
Yeah,
traits.
I think we have that. I think Ori and Nebo have traits.
Right.
I will try and pull them up. Nebo, I believe, is imminent, and Ori, I don't see it. But
I think I'm empathic. I think that's the one I picked up.
Sorry.
I love that. That is so brilliant. That is so good. Yes, yet you are. I mean, that's the funny thing is that you
Right.
totally are empathic. It's just that these people that only communicate through touch don't register that at all.
Right.
Other people find you empathic.
I don't actually know what I want to do, so I'm going to do some like generic foreshadowing, which is so I'm just going to do like a little narrative kind of scene, which is we see the old market, and I actually think that this is underwater, and so you know, it's sort of like a bunch of stalls, but it's underwater, so like there's a bunch of different levels and stuff, and Callisto swims down, and we kind of see we see the scene where, you know, the person secrets themselves to the market and buys like a vial of liquid or whatever, and I'm trying to think what the strange price would be. Oh, it's totally like a piece of the liminal crystal, which she exchanges for a small vial of liquid. Yeah. I think that means I can change a thing, but I don't know that I want to change a thing.
What are, let's review your things. You are
Gatekeeper of the Orient Federation.
yeah. Yeah, I feel like you're pretty like locked in to being the gatekeeper.
Yeah,
Right,
I
like-
definitely I don't feel like there's anything I want to change. So I just won't change it. It says that I have the opportunity to, well, I can add,
Mm.
add, erase, or change one thing on your character sheet.
Well, one thing that I think has been a part of your character's identity thus far is that your role here is prophesized. Your role here is like that like you have, I mean, then again, you've already been sort of playing with this sort of assurity that being the gatekeeper is established, like means you must do this thing. So that's perhaps not anything new.
I was going to say, I think actually I'm going to give myself an attribute.
Cool.
Which is I'm trying to think of a fancy word for sick, but essentially just sick, right?
Yeah. I think sick is good. Diseased.
Disease.
Dying.
Afflicted is what I was looking for.
Afflicted.
Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you. Attributes. Afflicted.
See if I can show this. This is our very fancy schmancy character sheet. Which I will pull back up in a second. Huh, it's not showing it. You hit like save or
hang on.
there it goes. Right.
Cool.
Cool. I don't know why I felt the need to, oh, it was cut off. I don't know why I felt the need to like show that on
because it looks like a fancy character sheet in Roll20.
Yes, there we go. There's our fancy Roll20 character sheet. It has all the information.
I feel like getting the character sheets into Roll20 was like harder than I would have thought.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm just using the generic one. I haven't seen the actual. Did you and Adam get a real?
No.
Sheet? Yeah. There are people that are super pros at doing really amazing ones, and I think what you would need was super small. So yeah, I think outside of game, I bet we could talk to folks that make character sheets and have them help out with one. Nice. You're afflicted. Do we sort of see the vial? Oh, there is a sheet. It's just not formalized. Cool. Awesome. Do we see you consume this vial, or does it sort of disappear into your articles of translucent clothing?
I think it disappears, and I think later we see like a little cutscene of her, on the liminal ship, drinking this stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. I want to stage a breakout. If that's okay with you.
Do it.
I feel like I want an action beat. So I'm going to do some pretty heavy sort of like GMing, framing for a little bit. And though it is my scene, I'm going to not play Kamala at first because I'm going to play NPCs. I'm going to play NPCs. Yeah. So I hope that's okay. I'm not breaking the Autumn of the Ancients rules. You tell me if I'm overstepping, Jen. This is going to be framed in the guts of the derelict. What they think of the ancients.
Nice.
But we're going to start. There are rules. Yeah. We're going to start on the liminal with Callisto. When you arrive at the liminal, as soon as you like you're in your containment, and so you're not making physical contact with it, and it's like a little while till you realize that you have to it's sometime you've already been on it when you unzip and you're about to climb into a pool, but before you can even do that, as soon as you touch the liminal surface, we see this smash cut of images that it sends to your mind, we see them blur across your eyes as the liminal is shown you Kamala all 8 legs strapped to a dissection table sort of thing, and when it zooms out, it shows that this particular where they are is in a station built on a crater where a station built on the crater where everybody knows these ancient artifacts were this ancient artifact. Actually, I'm gonna go dive even a little deeper. There's a crater in the planet where the liminal was found.
Oh, cool.
And they're still studying bits of it, and they have like Mars station style tent bases there, and that's where they've brought Kamala there. And at the same time, Ori, you're made aware of through conventional means that that Federation ships are coming to seize the liminal. That you see, it's sort of been broadcast that it's been made aware that you are contaminated, you're considered a contagion and a threat to the some sort of broadcast has gone out that somebody with the galactic plague is here and we need to contain it and not let them out. And so very quickly the ships will be arriving to block the liminal from leaving or from doing anything else. So there's this twin moments of emergency happening to both of you. What do you do?
I mean, I put the zip the suit back up, and I just was reading a thing about Gene Roddenberry and how he thought that in the future they would have found some way better way to fasten clothes than zippers, which is why you never see zippers on Star Trek, which I had never realized before. But once I read that, I was like, yeah. And apparently they used to have to actually sew poor actors into their costumes, which is I find it very amusing for some reason.
Did you see the smash cuts of all the tucks of all the times where they have to pull down their shirts? Because the way the next gen costumes were designed was that they were always riding up, and so they're just constantly pulling them down.
Riker, every single time he stood up, he
they had to, right? There's an amazing smash cut of them just pulling their shirts down a million times. Because they're riding up.
Why? Because there was no zippers.
Nice.
So she zips the suit back up and goes out to look for Kamala because She doesn't like the idea of her friend being on a dissection table.
Yeah. I think it's far enough away via like conventional travel that if without taking the liminal or taking some other ship there, it would take a long time to get there. Like it's like moving around is trivial, but you know, it's on, if you're like docked at the port station. You said it wasn't a port station. Maybe anyway,
yeah, but you could like they could have taken Kamala, you know, to the moon, or like, you know, we
Right.
got 2 moons and a planet here we're dealing with, so it could be on any of those places.
All right, so you're on the planet. She is on the science moon, right? The moon
Cool.
where
Yes.
she left. All right. So how are you going to get there?
Is
are you
Ori
flying the
still
liminal,
on
or?
the ship? Question mark.
I think so. Yes.
Then yes, I definitely would have us fly the liminal out there.
Right on. And I think you have total control of it, so there's no problem with you doing it. Ori, what you are very aware of is that there's like a bunch of inbound Federation ships.
Right.
What are you going to do?
Because Ori doesn't know for certain, but I know Callisto could find out. I asked Callisto, can the liminal protect itself?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it can. I think she doesn't necessarily know the answer to that question, and so she kind of like puts her hand on, she sort of like takes a glove off or whatever and puts her hand on the liminal, and the moment she sort of asks the question, she sees in her mind's eye that the ship is as well armed as we need it to be. So we can have like all out, you know, phasers and torpedoes if we want. Which I'm doing specifically because every other game I've played, the liminal is always like very peaceful and not combative at all, and I just like the idea of this crystalline liminal who is just like, you gonna mess with me? You gonna get caught.
I'm gonna shoot crystal shards at you.
Yep.
So I think then the Ori would like to broadcast the message to the inbound ships to get them to stand down, walk away for their own safety.
Yeah. I don't think that goes well. Yeah, I think it's kind of like, in this instance, their feeling is sort of like an officer of the law being told by a civilian, like, stand down, officer, for your own safety, right? When the officer's like, I'm pulling you over for a speeding ticket, right? So, or you know, like, or actually, it's more than that. It's like, I've been told that you have a dangerous contagion on board,
right?
And so, yeah, so their response is that of like, stop the vessel and cease your current trajectory and follow us back to the and fall in line with our trajectory. Like, I think you're sort of like shouting over each other. You're like, stay back, yeah. And they're like,
absolutely, yeah,
cease what you're doing. And what they instruct you to do, whether you have any intention of doing it or not, is to come back with them to some sort of medical facility or some, you know, station. They don't even tell you where, but, you know, to follow us, and they will take you to a place which is not at all where you want to go. It's planet side, and where, you know, they can contain the threat. And I think it's sort of like, or be blasted into smithereens. So maybe they're not saying that part, but like, that's perhaps what's conveyed.
Nice.
Yeah. So after some moments of this, like going back and forth, you realize that like your logic is not working on them. What are you gonna do?
I give them one final warning, and I tell them, "This is your last and final warning. Your lives are forfeit if you continue this path. You don't understand."
The ship, the liminal rocks,
Right? Yeah.
and you all do the Star Trek shuffle. You all thing because they have fired. They say you have made a threat on a Federation officer. Prepare to, we will prepare for your ship to be disabled and be boarded. And like another to punctuate their second one, another blast hits the liminal, and we see like bits of the liminal like bust off. When their blaster bolts smash into it, like crystalline bits sort of explode off the edge. We can't tell exactly how much of the ship that is, but like it's definitely not just sort of bouncing off of its invincible shell.
Right.
Proportional response is not a strong point in this galaxy. That is absolutely true.
Clearly.
Disproportionate response is something.
That's the subtitle of the series.
Callisto, you are racked with pain. You feel as though you have been the one that has just been assaulted. And you everybody's shaking, but because you had been touching it to sort of communicate with it, you're also, its pain communicates with you too, and you crumple for a moment as like it feels like something has hit you over the head with smacked you across the back with a baseball bat. Like it's horribly painful. You feel like something might have broken inside you, and you don't know if that's just your empathy or it's actually causing you physical harm, because at this moment they're one and the same. What you gonna do?
I think once I can kind of get my wits about me again, I am going to go back to attempting to fly the ship, because we really need to get to Kamala. And also, I would like to land the ship quickly so that I can stop flying the ship and feeling all of the hits. Actually, no. You know what happens?
I like to stop feeling these feels.
I kind of like try and like shake it off after a minute, and like the camera sees me put my hand down on the crystal, and the shot as we like sort of pan out is the color of the liminal suddenly turns very hostile to the view of the people chasing it. Nice. And so this is the "oh no you didn't." So Callisto actually, like, she gets angry and she puts her hand down, and then some of the crystals start flying off like projectiles towards our pursuers.
I love it. Awesome. So I think we see you being chased and them, firing on you, and then when the ship changes, like we pan to like one of their like views of like, whoa, like one of the pilots gives like that's not supposed to happen. Look, right, and suddenly they go from this like authoritative, abusive sort of stance to "oh crap," and I think there's a bit of a and then there's a kind of a ship space dogfight blaster thing as you're trying to get there, and you're being rocked, and you have to maintain physical contact in order to fly it, but in doing so you're sort of being beaten up and battered as fire on the ships, and we see a faceless one explode, and others that are dodging crystals and can't get a beat on you. And I think that like that's as much like I'm happy with that level of action where we kind of know the next thing is when the liminal arrives and it's like in full war mode of like, I will destroy you.
Red alert.
There's a bunch of scientists that are like, sorry, rather than fighting you off further. I think it was like the second episode of Firefly where there are a bunch of people that, like they get into a bar brawl and Wash like pulls up the ship and he's like, I will
Yeah.
blast all of you to smithereens. And they
Yes.
get off and they're like, there's no guns on this ship. They didn't know any better. I think that's a scientist thing of like, okay, there's clearly guns on that ship. And the last sort of shot is you flying away with having either blown up or evaded the last of the Federation ships.
Cool.
And Kamala like stumbling onto the board. So yeah, that was totally my scene without me really being involved. But I wanted to have like an actiony space fight scene.
Yeah.
Right,
No,
right,
it was
right.
great. It was great.
No, that was good.
All right.
I will be right back in 1 second. Child unit needs water.
No problem. Well, actually, it's a good time for break. So
Okay.
we'll break and be back soon.
All right.
All right. Thanks all. We'll come back in a bit for, oh wait, we're almost at end. All right. Well, we'll come back in a bit anyway and finish off. Yeah, we will water the baby. We'll be back. We'll be back soon.